Welcome back to Talking Wanderers, and today we're going to be discussing Gary Cahill's performance for England the back end of last week, and also looking forward to this weekend's return to Premiership action where Wanderers travel to Wigan. And with me are Wanderers correspondent Mark Isles and sports reporter Liam Cronell. Well lads, let's kick off with talk of England. It's been the international break. Gary Cahill has kept our interest in football the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? Playing for England. And, well, he's a number one choice, isn't he?
It would certainly seem so at the minute, with him being picked ahead of Rio Ferdinand and Joleon Lescott. It's fantastic, really, for Gaz and for Bolton Wanderers at the minute, because things haven't gone so well on the club form, and to be doing that at international levels was great, really.
Tell me how that works, because Gary Cahill's been playing for Bolton Wanderers. Bolton have been conceding hand over fist. You've got Rio Ferdinand, Classart and Joleon Lescott, who's been playing very well at City. So Fabio Capello obviously has got it right, because Cahill is playing well for England. But how does he come to that decision to play Cahill before these players?
It's a difficult one, and I think it's fair to say that not many England managers before would have made the same decision. It's real credit to Capello that he stuck faith with Cahill, because many would have gone back to Ferdinand for a big game, just like Ferguson does. The big games, he brings out his big players. Looking at it from a different way, Cahill, when Bolton come to try and sell him in January, it's incredible that he's still an England player, and for that they must be grateful, because his stock could easily have fallen away. In a defence that's conceded 21 goals, yet you've still got the England centre half.
I think Capello just sees him now as the natural successor, maybe to Ferdinand, and when he comes round to naming his squad for Euro 2012, I've got no doubts if Ferdinand has played enough games, he'll be in there, because you wouldn't dump him in a major tournament. But to have Cahill as that third one there in the middle, with Phil Jones knowing that you can play him at centre half or as a right back, I think there's Chris Smalling ditto, and there's some great options for him there. But Cahill's right in there, and he's a marketable asset.
Do you think he's grooming Cahill just in case he needs him at the finals? So he's giving him these big games now, so that if he needs to call upon him at the finals, he's ready? Or do you think he's going to start in the finals?
I think he's going to start. I think Capello saw enough at the last World Cup to think his old players are done for. The Lampard, the Gerrard, the Terrys, the Ferdinand, not the Terrys obviously, no. Captain, but Ferdinand. This is a new dawn for England, and he wants the likes of Cahill, the Ashley Youngs, the Phil Jones, who haven't got the fears of of these big tournaments. And to me, Cahill's he's a starter, and he'll start in a major championship.
And as you say, it's keeping his price high, because going to Montenegro in a game that you dare not lose, that is fantastic for Cahill's experience, isn't it? So completely different environment, different team, different football. It's fabulous for his experience.
He defended better than Terry as well. I think Terry was at fault for the first goal. I don't really think Gaz made too many mistakes the whole night through, and it was a difficult night for defending, because it was pouring down.
And you've got to remember, come January he'll have gone. He'll have gone to a bigger club. Maybe even played 3 months in the Champions League. For me, it's nailed on start.
I mean, he said something as well a couple of days back, didn't he, about his prospective move in January, that he needs to be pushing Wanderers out of the trouble they're in for him to get that move. So that also bodes well, because come January, if Gary Cahill's got the bit between his teeth and he's defending better than he is at the minute, then Wanderers should improve their form and be able to sell, as Liam said, a marketable England international.
Yeah. So looking ahead now to Wigan, obviously Cahill's one person who is not going to be out of that team. Could there be other changes Saturday?
I think there's got to be changes. We've had 2 weeks to think about the Chelsea game now, and what went wrong, what has been going wrong for a fair amount of time now, and Owen Coyle has revolved, and he's now got to try and get a team that's settled to go into this group of games now and know he can win it. And there's a few players maybe who haven't been given enough of a chance. Maybe the Kakutas, the Tunchais, and Klasnic, who's coming back from suspension, that maybe you throw in there. But it'll be again, it's another very interesting selection poser for him.
It's been very interesting, obviously, so far this season. But they've conceded on average 3 goals a game against good sides. Now, what's the temptation going to be now? Is it going to be to tighten up a little bit now, or is it going to be to look at the fact that it's Wigan, Sunderland, Swansea, Stoke and West Brom and say, right, stick to our guns and keep scoring goals? Because the opposition are not going to score like the top teams are against us. What do you think the temptation is tactically?
Well, if Bolton carry on defending like they have been doing, these teams will score goals against them.
Norwich did.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, Coyle's, it's unlike Coyle, but he went to this 4-5-1 against a big team. Whether he'll do that at Wigan, because what a massive game. I know, to me, it's the biggest game in Coyle's time in charge. That's how there's so many, there's discontent in the stands, there's, problem, he doesn't really know his team. This is a huge game. They've got to go to Wigan and get a result.
I think they've got to go there and look better than they have been. I mean, I'm not one of these that says that this is it. If he doesn't win this game, then we should all be up in arms. Yeah, it's a big game, but I think he's got to go there and look more convincing than they have in the last 6 weeks or so, because really, as Liam said there, I don't think he does know what his best team is on form at the minute. On paper, yeah, fine, he'd be able to pick 11 off the top of his head, but at the minute, the key players that are out of form, he's got too many of them, and I don't think he's got 11 players in form, so he needs to get things moving his way again now.
When I look at it, it doesn't look to be a settled team to me.
No.
You can look at it, you can look at a lot of individuals, you think he may be in, or he might not. He may be in, he might not. There are a lot of players like that, aren't there? And would you not be happy if you thought, right, you've got 9 players there who are first names on the team sheet, so to speak, maybe just a couple might come in.
But that was his problem, of course, because I mean he's had that for quite a while, where you probably had the spanner side and then the peripheral lads.
That's true.
But those players that were in the spanner side have taken their place for granted, to use Kevin Davies' words, and they're off form. And there really is only maybe two players, Cahill and probably David Ngo, who are guaranteed to be starting that game on Saturday, and Yossi will more than likely come back in for Adam Bogdan as well. But I mean, it's just a case of form, isn't it? I mean,
well, that's the thing. I mean, it's all very well playing the same team like he did last season, because they were doing well, they were winning and playing well. When you're getting beat 4 or 5-0, you can't keep putting out the same level, and it's difficult. This is why I do think Wigan's an important game, because they need a result, they need to get a settled side, and then they can go on from there. Another poor performance, another poor result at the weekend, and he'll chop and change the team again, because you have to look for a way to sort of stop the slump.
I think if he goes there, gets a solid performance, nicks a win or gets a draw, then it's a building block. He needs to basically get them turned round. Somewhere along the line, he needs a result to turn things round.
Just taking the old managerial thing of taking a period of games and setting a target. Wigan, Sunderland, Swansea, Stoke, West Brom, maximum 15 points. What would you be happy with? What should they be looking at to get from those 5 games?
You look at those results, and they're all winnable. But with a team that's not playing good football at the minute, it's not going to turn around straight away. I think you've got to be looking to be out of the bottom 3 after that run, or else you are in trouble, because come Christmas time, it's
I think ideally you'd want 10 points, but the way they're playing, I think they take 7. A couple of wins, maybe a couple of draws, and you'd be happy. But the way they're playing, it's just not realistic to expect anything
more.
The
clubs around us at the minute, the clubs you'd expect to be down there, haven't played all the big teams yet, so they are going to start getting reeled in. Wigan, for example, have got 5 points, and they haven't played a good team yet. They've taken them from promoted teams, I think. So there are teams who will come up against this, and it will be hard.
Well, thanks lads, and thanks very much for logging on to Talking Wanderers. Join us again next week, where we'll discuss Wanderers' performance at Wigan.